This episode of the Restoration Today podcast is brought to you by Core Group and The Collective by Core 2025. The Collective 2025 will be an experience you do not want to miss. From strategy to certification, the 2025 Collective Agenda delivers conversations worth having. Don't miss this once-a-year opportunity to learn, grow, rub shoulders with the best in the restoration world, and see what Core has up its sleeves. You will leave refreshed, challenged, inspired, and maybe a little tired. Live in Austin in early August, visit thecollectivebycore.com for more information. Jeff and I are back, even though you didn't see the first one, because I am not the equipment person. Shouldn't be the one typically doing videos, even though I have been trained on my equipment. Without my husband, Jeff, here, we tend to have technical hiccups. So Jeff and I are having a second conversation.
But it's a beautiful day, and where are we?
It's a beautiful day, and we scooted more into the shade, even though the sun's gonna move on us again. Yeah. So you're gonna end up in full sun by the time we're done anyway. But we are in Charlevoix, Michigan, and this is what's called a mushroom house. They were built by Earl Young, I think in the 20s, is that right?
20s and 30s. I think he may have gone into the 40s.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so they are a popular phenomenon, I'm going to call them, in northern Michigan. So Jeff, tell us a little bit about the house.
So this, like all the houses, are built out of boulders, pretty much scooped out of Lake Michigan. Earl Young, the architect, an eclectic dude, would bury them, kind of like a dog with a bone, and then find them, and he'd build houses around his vision of them. And all these houses are funky. This one has green mortar. You can't see the doorway. A lot of them, you don't see the doorways. The kitchens are super small. Like, they're not really functional. They're just very interesting to look at.
Yes.
And ours is one of the more functional ones, honestly.
Yes, every house is different. Yeah. He would do every single stone, kind of piecing them together. Mm-hmm. He didn't like assistance, right? He liked kind of doing things himself, his own way.
I believe he was removed from a Frank Lloyd Wright program because he just couldn't follow their system. We talk about systems in restoration, but he just couldn't follow theirs, I guess.
He could not. Yeah. He did his own thing, and you would see if you ever came into one of these houses. There aren't tours of the insides of them, so this is the first time I've ever been in one, which was thrilling for me. But if you ever come to northern Michigan, you can come to Charlevoix, and there are the mushroom house tours is what they're called, and you go around in these little gem cars. We haven't seen any yet this morning, though.
No, they're coming. They had 3 of them running yesterday.
I'm surprised that we haven't, because I don't know what time it is, but so we get to face this way. There's Lake Michigan this way, which is just beautiful in the summer. So did you grow up coming up here?
Yeah, this has been in the family for 70 years this year. My grandmother bought it, or my grandparents bought it together in 1955 to escape the polio pandemic, which was really fascinating because they had 7 kids. We were reading some of the books and stuff they had written, their journals. In 2020, you have COVID going around. We're going, this went full circle. That did go
full circle. And I remember, so my in-laws have a place it's less than half an hour from here, but you have to take the Ironton ferry, so a car ferry to get here. But one of the reasons they bought that during COVID, and were like, if the world ever shuts down again, this is where we're going. Northern Michigan is such like a almost beautiful, isolated place. But how long would it have taken them to get here then?
I don't know how long it took, but I do know the interstate freeway system was not fully built in 1955, so I-75 wasn't there, so you'd have, actually earlier on, you'd have 6 kids, not 7, so you'd have 6 kids put in 2 vehicles going up north, back roads, 2-lane roads, lots of roadkill,
It would have taken forever.
Forever, that's what
it takes forever now.
Yeah, well, that's just construction on 75.
Good luck if you ever come here.
Right, yeah.
Don't go home on a Sunday, and don't come up north on a Friday. That's the best thing I can tell you. And if you come up on a holiday weekend, just
good luck.
Pray.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Get your reservations early.
Yeah, make reservations early. Okay, so talk about yourself a little bit. Share your background in the industry.
Yeah, so I've been in restoration about 10 years now. I got my start as a Paul Davis franchise owner and really enjoyed the process and being with him. But my time ended with them. Took a little time off and tried to discover myself, go travel around, and like so many of us, you end up back in restoration again. And so
you can't leave once you're
no,
here.
you really can't.
You
and
can't.
So I'm on the periphery now. I started Elkmont Estimates in 2020 during COVID as a way to just make some extra money. And a friend of mine who was a contractor in Denver, where I live, said, "Hey, can you do some estimates for me? I got 3 house fires that I need estimated. I don't know how to do it." And I said, "Yeah, sure." I did it all through Matterport remotely because we were all locked in our houses during COVID. Got them all approved, and I just started thinking to myself, I wonder who else needs remote estimating help. And I really didn't think much of it. It was, again, a way to make some money. And little did I know, I was kind of at the beginning of the remote estimating forefront,
Yes.
which has really grown in the last 5 years.
Yes. Okay, so that was like the birth of Elkmont.
Yes.
But so how much has it grown since then? And did you expect remote estimating at the time to become? Could you
No.
see when you started? Okay, I was curious if you could see
I
when
didn't
you
have a plan.
started doing it.
I did not have a plan. No.
Like, oh, this is the future of restoration, because it is now. I think like the
Everybody's
amount of-
outsourcing it.
Oh,
It's very common.
Yes.
You know, my dad was a physician, and I started to figure out, you know, people ask me, so what do you do? And they're not in restoration. I'm like, oh, I do, you know, insurance estimating and blah, blah. I just tell my dad now, tell him I'm a lawyer. You know, it's easier for his friends to figure out.
I'm a lawyer.
But I figured it out that we basically do what is medical billing for physicians. And medical billing is an enormous industry. Very few doctors actually do their billing in-house. Almost everybody outsources it. And this is the same thing. That's what we do.
That's a great analogy. You're right. I have a neighbor who she's like a medical coder, and that's what she does.
What it is.
And she has small kids, and so she works whatever hours she needs to, and she's just at home. And if it's in the middle of the night, that's when she's getting her coding done. Yeah, you're right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So how much have you seen it grow since you started Elkmont?
I mean, we've grown every single year, which has been fantastic. You know, when it first started, I wasn't trying to grow; it just kept happening. And as we've, I mean, you learn in franchise. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you learn in franchising, you know, create systems and create repeatable tasks and things like that. So we've got, you know, a team of people now that are, we've got our estimators, we've got our claims closure specialists, we've got Todd in sales, we've got, you know, admin help, we've got everybody doing what they need to do. So now it grows much easier than when it started. It took some time to, you know, figure out how to put the systems there. But yeah, it's grown every year. And, you know, the industry, there wasn't that much competition when I got started. Now there's a whole lot more. And I think it's fine. There's plenty of work to go around. Everybody kind of seems to find their own little home.
There's plenty of work to go around. And yeah, we can talk about claims volume in a little bit, but the claims are always going to be there. So there is enough to go around. I'm also surprised, like we asked in the state of the industry how many people were doing remote estimating, and it wasn't as many as I thought. So I think that there's still a huge, I can't remember what the number is, so I won't even say, but I remember it not being nearly what I thought it was. So I think that more and more people will probably edge toward remote estimating.
I think so. It has to do with, I mean, it has to do with like hiring. It's hard to hire people. Training is not always there. You don't always have time to train.
Yep.
You know, in this industry, as many people know, you're either too big or too small at the same time. I mean, once you get to a certain size, you can handle it, but most restorers do less than $1 million a year. And so it's hard for them to pay a good estimator $100,000+ a year and keep them busy.
Yeah.
And so it usually falls onto an admin or the owner or just somebody else that can do it, somebody that knows Xactimate sort of, but doesn't know estimating, and you end up losing money that way.
Yes. So what do you, for Elkmont, what do you need from your contractor clients when they send in like, hey, will you write this estimate for us? What do they need to send you?
You know, it's the basics, right? You know, what would you send your own team? We're very adaptable. We use all the major software platforms. If there's a new one that pops up, we love learning it, but you know, it's documentation, photos. So we have, first of all, we have our own client portal. Clients can upload their information 24/7, 365, and we queue it for them. But you know, photos, scope sheets, scope notes. If they use DocuSketch, Matterport, something like that, they don't have to, but you can definitely get a lot more out of it.
Yes.
Checks and balances, really. Sketches, I may have said that twice. And you know, if they have any other notes, dry logs, we're not checking dry logs to be sure they dry to structure properly. That's their business. But I can't tell you how many times their scope sheets will say, we were here on these days, but their dry logs will say we were here on those days. And now we go back and double check it. All of our estimators have anywhere between 7 and 25 years of actual field experience. We've all sucked sewage at 3 in the morning. And that goes a long way to realize, hey, if somebody didn't write a note here or missed the tick sheet or there's no photo, we know it probably got done. We can make some assumptions and go from there and fill in those blanks. That's a big difference.
Do you have a lot of clients that aren't doing 360?
Like Matterport, DocuSketch?
Or are most of them at this point doing it?
Maybe half and half.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you see any difference in the time to get paid if you have, like, if you're just doing photo or you have 360? Have you noticed? I mean, you're doing the estimate, not the collection side.
The adjusters don't look at it anyway. So it doesn't really matter. Now, what I do notice is the, if somebody's sending us a DocuSketch and or Matterport, I'm not like repping one or the other, just a name that comes out of my mouth. We are finding details that otherwise they miss. It's especially big in like fire damage and those sorts of things. Your tech is not necessarily going through, well, I've got, you know, hanging draperies here. These are vertical. I got 2 smoke detectors, 5 outlet covers. If you can get me a 360, we can just go through and knock them out real quick.
Sure, that makes good sense. So, all right, I want to talk about industry pain points, but first, Levlr, I'm thinking, was born out of a pain point you saw at Elkmont. So talk about Levlr.
You know, as Elkmont grew, one of the services we always provided was, hey, we will help you At that time, we weren't doing claims closing, so we weren't negotiating with adjusters, we weren't having any content, but we would at least help the client understand why we did things a certain way in their estimate. It's kind of like making a PowerPoint. It's easier to explain a PowerPoint when you do it yourself.
Yes.
So I thought they were reasonable questions. And we'd explain what the differences were. But as we grew, it became a bigger and bigger time suck for us. And I just couldn't keep up with it anymore. And so I was going to hire some people to do comparisons for me. And my wife said, no, you bonehead. You build a software that does it for you, and then you sell it to other people. Very glad I married her. And so we formed Levlr, which is the industry's first AI-powered Xactimate comparison tool. And so currently, you upload your Xactimate estimate, you upload the adjusters, and in a color-coded dashboard, it'll show you items that have been changed, items that have been removed, and items that are like kind of similar, but kind of not. Like, hey, you got 5/8 drywall here, 1/2-inch drywall there. You should probably take a look at this.
Yep.
And it guides you as a tool to help understand quickly, like, which line items were different. We've got some really cool new updates coming because we want to save people time and increase accuracy. I mean, I myself have missed $5,000 in crawl space insulation. Oops. And once it's gone, you're still putting it in the house. If you forget to invoice for it,
it's on you.
It's on you.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's why we created Levlr.
Okay. And so kind of branching off of this, what is the #1 pain point you see from your contractor partners?
It's getting paid. It's getting paid in a reasonable amount of time.
And what is the difference between the companies you see actually getting paid in a reasonable amount of time and the companies that are really struggling?
It's pretty basic. It's documentation. It's documenting your work. You're still going to have arguments. You're still going to have fights. You're still going to have people disagreeing with why you should get paid. But unless there's a photo of it, you're really not able to argue anything anymore.
Yes. That's absolutely true. So, and does it matter the type of documentation? Do you see a difference between whether it's 360 or it's photos? Is it the F9 notes? Like, is our F9 notes critical? Like,
it's adjuster dependent. So you will find,
dependent.
and you don't know which one you're going to get.
No,
right?
you don't.
Was it the box of chocolates? You don't know what you're going to get.
Yes.
Forrest Gump,
sometimes you get.
And sometimes you get the coconut one.
I don't mind the coconut one, but I'm trying to think of, like, I don't know. Like,
but you know what I'm talking about.
Yes,
you
like
don't know what you're going to get.
Kind of ones.
We find that adjusters don't always look at photos or 360 one better than another. They're going through them so fast. You got to remember, they have 150 claims on their desk at any one time. They don't have time to shuffle through this. Is it in front of me? Yes, no. I don't personally think the 360s are doing one thing better than another. I think it helps the adjuster if you point it out to them, but I don't think it's a benefit. I think it helps the estimator find more items and be more accurate, but I don't think it helps them get paid. I kind of lost where I was going with that.
You're talking about biggest pain point is getting paid, and what type of documentation makes the biggest difference?
Photos. Oh, F9 notes. That's what I was going to say. Every adjuster seems to be different. We have found to some degree that if you add more F9 notes, that the adjusters hone in on that more, and they're more likely to argue that. Whether you're right or you're wrong, they're like, ooh, there's a note here. There's a reason they were explaining that to me.
Oh.
We tend to put in the F9 notes later. We like to see what goes through first.
Okay.
And because you'll be surprised, sometimes they'll just, okay. And then, fine. If I put an F9 note with everything, we're finding that gets flagged more.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And don't put too much information because their eyes just glaze over. And it does seem to be that if you put, the more information you put to some degree, they're not as informed and educated and trained as they used to be. It seems to be that the more info you put in, the more it wants them to look at it and dig in their heels.
Yes. Okay, so Levlr is an AI tool, but in our first conversation, we were talking about like kind of the uses of AI and where it's going in the industry. And you were talking about how that's an area where restorers should be careful.
Yes, absolutely. I am not a good AI prompter, as are most people.
Yep.
AI prompting also, I personally don't think scales very well. You have to train people to be AI prompters. So if you are in your business saying, hey, so-and-so in my office, please use chat and use it without any sort of prompting training, you're going to have problems. For example, I was putting into ChatGPT 2 weeks ago, I am a restorer, and I put in this number of air movers and this sort of thing. And the adjuster saying, I'm not allowed to have this many air movers. What do I say? It was saying and I said add citations. It was saying things like from the 5th edition of the IICRC S500, it is this many air movers per linear foot. Well, we've gone to square footage. That's number one. Number two is making up the citations like 12.8.6. Wrong section entirely. Then it was saying the page number. The page number didn't exist. And it went all the way through. And so that's a challenge. And I don't believe at this point in time, I've got a proposal into the IICRC to do like a chat agent within it, but I haven't heard back. But you don't know the info that's been uploaded to chat or how it's been trained or anything like that. It's just wrong. And so we're finding adjusters are using it and they're wrong, which, by the way, that's a great point for any restorers out there. If you think it's AI, fact check them. Actually fact check it and use that to your advantage. But two, you don't want to put wrong information out there either. Don't rely on it. Always check it. And if you're checking it, are you better off just doing it by hand?
Are you better off doing it by hand?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to think of what else. I don't know what else to talk about, except we were talking about what it would cost to restore a home like this because we just don't know. So we put a call out so we put a call out last time. If you've ever restored something super interesting and historic, that this isn't on the historic register, which makes these, I think, extra interesting because people can...
You can remodel them. People have. We have.
You can do anything you want to them, but they're so different and unique that sometimes it's like, well, how?
Yes.
Because the builder's not around.
Right, and it's insured, but nobody really knows. Like, they gave us a price of, the rebuild cost.
Yeah.
Like anything, I can tell you it's low. I don't know how low it is because you've got a home built in the 1930s. All the craftsmen are long since deceased. You have doors that are, frosted, probably asbestos. Don't eat them. Like this weird frosting. Like think lemon meringue pie on the doors and trim. You've got carpet from the 1960s, and it comes down to restore versus replace. Like anybody's, for the most part, is going to say, I want to replace my 1960s shag carpeting. I want to keep my 1960s shag carpeting. It's a time capsule.
Yes. What
What do you do with antique musical instruments, pianos or record players or anything like that? I don't even know what you do with those because we want to salvage and keep these things. But if this thing were to, catastrophically burn, you're going to be left with a shell. And none of the building methods are currently used. Like, it's weird in there.
Yes. One of the things I thought was interesting was you were talking about, so in the winter, it sounds like, because in northern Michigan, well, in Michigan in general, you have to keep some level of heat going or your pipes are going to freeze. But these are kind of different.
Yes.
And so talk about how the climate is on the inside.
Yeah, so frost depth in this part of the state is I think 38 or 40 inches, something like that.
Yeah.
So all your plumbing needs to be below that. The crawl space here is 8 inches deep. So all the plumbing is basically on grade, so you have to drain the plumbing during the winter or run the heat. These things don't heat very well or cool very well. What's fascinating, though, is the stone holds heat great during the summer, so it bakes you. But during the winter, it's super cold. It just holds it.
Yeah.
And so it's just really tough because the HVAC system was, this thing was never designed for central air or central heat. So you're just kind of making it work with undersized ducting, and you're just kind of making it work. Like any sort of normal run that you would make with ducting or electrical plumbing, it's in here, but you wouldn't normally do it. But you just have to get it done.
Yeah, I think the joists are different, and the floor is a little uneven, as you would kind of expect in an older home.
It's a very sandy area, and it's 8 inches deep or so. And so you have the boulders going around the perimeter, like your bearing walls, but they're not bearing really on anything. Yeah, there's the jet overhead too.
I know, the noise canceling's on the microphones, I think, but I'm curious to see the jet. But
the airport has grown. But instead of having joists hung on the bearing walls, you have 2x4s laying on their flat side around the perimeter, and they're rough sawn. And then you have 2x8 rough sawn joists running across on their edge, but nothing's actually attached to the stone. It's all just kind of like this friction, gravity, whatever. And
just hope for the best.
We've fixed some of that over the last 100 years, but yeah, it's really quite wild. There was actually no joists under our bathtub either, we found.
That's brave.
It was weird.
Because I remember I was remodeling our bathroom in our Rochester house, which was built in the 70s. And the contractor was like, I don't think we can put a tub in here. We got to reinforce the floor. Yeah. And so we didn't end up doing it because it wouldn't have fit anyway. It was a pipe dream on my part, but that's...
There was a concrete and cobblestone pier with some plywood on top.
Wow.
Yeah, we replaced it. But yeah, it was weird.
Have you been in any of the other houses?
Yes, my great aunt used to own that one.
Okay.
So I have memories of that one. It actually used to be white and red, like a chalet style. And then one down the road that way, they call it the red mortar house. My mom used to own that one.
The red mortar house.
Yeah, it's one of the oldest ones.
What do you tell people when they're like, oh, those people are probably checking things out?
Yeah.
What do you tell people when you're like, what do you do in the summer? Where are you going for a vacation?
I just tell them I'm going up north.
Yeah.
And if you're from Michigan, you know what up north is. If you're from Colorado,
do you find people look at, yes. I was telling my in-laws this, that when I go to trade shows or whatever, and people are like, oh, what are you doing for the 4th of July? Oh, we're going up north. What? What do you mean up north? And then the phenomenon that in Michigan, a lot of people have second houses. Yes.
Yeah, everybody has a second house. It's very common. They're cheap.
Yes, you can get a cottage. You can be on a lake, like an inland lake, for not that much. Yeah. And everybody goes up north. That's just
It's just
missing.
what we do. I mean, I grew up coming up here every summer, winter. There's another building next door that we have too. And I mean, I'd bring snowmobiles up here or ski and whatever. So this is just what we did. But none of these houses were anything special. Then it was just, no, you got a place up north. Now they're like this tourist phenomenon.
They are a tourist phenomenon. They are. Okay, so second call out. If anybody has restored anything unique, I really want a case study that is, you will never find something identical to this. That's never going to happen. But if you've restored something unique, especially if it's maybe had some interesting contents on the inside that have required some very hands-on work, let us know, because that'd be a great case study for CNR. All right. Anything else that we should talk about?
I think you covered it all. I'm starting to bake under here.
I know. We moved and it didn't even matter.
I'm getting a little...
All right. Go green.
Go white.
Yes.
For more Restoration Today and the latest news, visit our website, cnrmagazine.com, and find the latest episodes of the Restoration Today podcast on your favorite podcasting platform.